Hello and welcome to Evansville Podcast. My name is Jason Burton. Thank you for listening. You can follow the show on Twitter at Evansville Pod, and you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Evansville Podcast. Today's episode, we are talking about the upcoming Celebration of Leadership that's happening on March 9th, 2017. It's a Thursday at the Old National Events Plaza. Lynn, Pease, and Kull came by to tell us about this year's edition, talk about some of the nominees, and we also talk about what Leadership Evansville is and does around the area. And so if you're interested in going, which you should be, go to leadershipevansville.org and RSVP there so they can get a good count of who's going, and you can get tickets and all that stuff. So full information there, leadershipevansville.org, or you can check out evansvillepodcast.com and find the show notes for this episode. And speaking of Evansville Podcast, the network, we are entering season 2 of the Beyond Repair show coming up soon. Look for that this month. We've got a lot of great guests lined up, so make sure to check out Beyond Repair show. You go to beyondrepairshow.com and check out the past episodes from season 1. Catch up if you haven't listened already. And if you have, then we're starting soon. So thanks to those who have been asking about it. We are definitely going again. Just had a little hiatus, but we're back in action this month. Now, on to the show. Well, Lynn, welcome back. And you brought this guy again.
Kull. He's my favorite.
I know. And I made a lame joke the last time, and I'm not going to do the same joke. I was trying to make a little play on Fifth Thirds and Old National, and he just was like a pro, and he just ignored me completely. And I was like, okay, it's just.
Court is like the king. Like if there's something that really can't be talked about, it's as if the words were never spoken. I mean, he is so good, and then he's
pro.
But I do want you to know that I was sincere in my response.
I could sense
he sincerely paid no attention.
He sincerely went, "That's stupid."
He said, "Do you know what we're going to pay you, Jason? No attention."
Exactly.
There we go. That's what we like to do.
I get that.
Yay!
I get a lot of that actually. So we are in the season once again.
It is the beautiful season of celebration of leadership.
Yeah, March 9th.
March 9th.
That's a Thursday, and that is soon.
That is very soon.
So hopefully this gets into the ears of people that need to go. It's what number is this? How many?
22nd.
22nd.
22nd, yeah.
Perfect.
And we already have, and so this is a week, 8 days before.
Yeah.
We are already at 700 reservations. And in case you don't know about Evansville, what I've been told, and I really don't know, but it would appear that many people in Evansville decide to go to things the week of.
Yes.
So typically, if you're doing an event, whatever you have the week before, you double that, and that'll be your number.
I have heard that many times from many different people.
So if that's the case, folks, we are talking about 1,400 people.
Plus.
And it may be a plus because this year there are just so many people engaged in every single nomination.
Well, and I really think it's because this event is rapidly being known as the Academy Awards of Servant Leadership in Evansville.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody wants to be a part of it.
I see what you did there. The Academy Awards is, for those of you who are not in the studio, it is on my whiteboard right now. So because I'm lazy and didn't erase it from the previous episode, please check that one out with Joe Atkinson and Corey Edwards. Thank you. Plugs out. So doors open at 4. I'm reading from the thing here. Doors open at 4. There's a reception beforehand. Is that for nominees only?
No, that's for everyone. We're kind of shaking it up a little bit.
Okay.
We have in the past, for the last several years, had people come somewhere else after.
Right.
And it was suggested that maybe we wanted to have everybody mingling before. So there's going to be, and when I say reception light, like we're talking pretzels, cookies, something like that, a little something to nibble on, but mostly we want all the different people nominating and coming to visit the nominees and the people everybody, just to be mixing it up before we begin.
Okay, and then the ceremony is 5:30.
5:30.
Promptly.
It will start promptly. We're being led into the ballroom
Okay.
by the Boom Squad.
Oh, sweet.
And if you have not, they were nominated
Oh,
this year. And if you have never been around the boom, I mean, it is something to behold.
Yeah, I would love to just hire them to wherever I go, just be around.
That'd be your theme music.
I would absolutely
Oh my gosh,
be so
yes.
down for that.
So from the littlest boom, which, they're pretty little, drumming,
yeah.
and to the older kids, I think we're going to have a group leading in, and then in case people aren't listening, we're going to have a group of the boom squad behind,
Nice.
which is an encouragement to go from reception into the program.
That's a very good way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So just to get the logistics out there, one of the March 9th, Thursday, Old National Events Plaza,
Yes.
downtown Evansville, and construction is lightened up now, so you
Yes,
might be
it
actually
shouldn't be
get
too
there.
bad. Yeah, you can get there pretty straight.
Yeah, and then the doors open at 4, ceremony 5:30.
Let's say you want to go. All you need to do is go to leadershipevansville.org.
Cool.
And you can do an RSVP, or you can call our office at 425-3828. Now, I want you to listen carefully for a minute. The tickets for the adults are $15. That's right, not $150 or $50. $15 for adults, $5 for kids. Now, listen really close. If somebody cannot afford the $15 or the $5, and there have definitely been points in my life where 2 $15 tickets and 3 $5 tickets would have been too much. We want to make sure that you can come too. Just call us and let us know that Lynn said you could come for free, and then we'll count you and make sure you have a seat, and then you come. And we really mean that. We don't ever want the cost of a ticket to keep anybody from kind of being part of this thing. Right, Court?
Yes, and if I can add, Lynn, I think the most important thing we can talk about around this is the event is open to the public. We want as many people to come as possible.
Absolutely.
There'll be a giant crowd, we think 1,400 plus people. So come early, spend some time enjoy the fellowship with the nominees and the people that did the nominating. If you're new to Evansville or you just want to get more involved in the not-for-profit community, this is the event you've got to come to. You'll have a wonderful opportunity to meet the movers and shakers in that world.
Also, you're going to see people who just had an idea and something from the heart, and they decided to do it, and they're regular people doing extraordinary things. But what you will see is the gamut of cool projects, servant leaders. You're going to meet all kinds of people who help us through supporting us in underwriting. And speaking of that, can I?
Yes, please.
Okay. Across from me is Kull, and he is part of the Fifth Third team. He's also a member of Leadership Evansville Board and has been for quite a while, and I don't think we're going to ever let him go. But I want to talk about Fifth Third for a minute. Fifth Third is one of those organizations for Leadership Evansville that we've been partners for years and years and years, and really since the beginning. And every year they support us through incredibly talented volunteers and board members. They send people through our class. They have helped us with dollars, and they do that so that anybody can come to Celebration of Leadership. They've gotten so engaged in the last 3 years. They have been the title sponsor. They have honestly given quite a bit more money, and because of that, we have been able to do so much more work in the schools. We've been able to say yes to diverse people who want to come through the class, and mostly we can invite everybody to Celebration of Leadership. And that's why when you walk in, you're going to see everybody. The richest of the rich, the poorest of the poor, every different colored skin, every different religion, different economic levels. And when we're all in there and it's Celebration of Leadership, we are one community, and one community looking for a way to make it better. So, Court, thank you. Thank
we're happy to do it.
Your bank, and we love it.
So, Court, how long have you been involved with Leadership Evansville?
I started about a decade ago. I went through the...
When he was a boy.
Yeah. Right. Before the voice change.
Yeah.
I never like it when people have a better voice than me on the podcast.
Yeah.
He does. He's got a great voice.
Yeah,
You got a good voice.
I add a lot on the mixer board.
Do you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Will you just take a little bit off my back? I just want my thighs smaller. Can you do something about the thighs?
If I could, I would not need sponsors ever. I would be able to sell that. And,
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So I went through the class about 10 years ago, and then I went to the president of my bank at the time. His name's John Daniel. I said, John, I want to get more involved. "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I'm sure." He picked up the phone and called Lynn and said, "I want to put this guy on your board." And I've been part of the organization ever since.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, and I see people pop up on my like Facebook friends. It's like see certain people go through the leadership classes a lot lately, or what is it technically called? I guess
the leadership retreat. It's a class, but
yeah.
we go to the retreat,
Right.
and a lot of people post about that experience.
Yeah, and everyone seems to like it's amazing, and they're so just they love it, and they're changed after they come out. So I guess mission accomplished there, right?
Yeah, I think the best way that I could put it is for most people, it's transformative. Some people you put in more than others when they go, but I think everybody walks away from there touched. And like Celebration of Leadership, it's a good opportunity for you to meet people in the not-for-profit world. And for me, that's where I got started in the not-for-profit community in Evansville. Mm-hmm. It all started right there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nonprofits or not-for-profits in Evansville, and I know that recently they've had some budget cuts with the city, and in the last couple of years, wasn't Leadership Evansville was kind of affected by that, right?
Yeah, at one point.
At one point. But it seems like you've not even skipped a beat from the outside, at least. So.
We don't skip a beat from
Yeah.
$1 change. Right. Basically, there are so many people over the 40 years that have been involved with Leadership Evansville. If something happens, we all kind of pull together and figure out what
Right.
we're going to do next. But the city has been a tremendous partner in voice and in so many different things. We just don't let something like that affect us at all. We keep doing the work that we need to do. And what we found is that more than enough other people came around that and made the difference. And when things got better with the city, they also kicked in too. So everybody was looking for a way to work together, not be pulled apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe before we get into, definitely want to talk about some of the nominees this year, but just for both of you, I mean, your servant leaders is the words you guys use a lot with Leadership Evansville, but where does that come from? Because you said you've been there, you wanted to do more in the community, and obviously you've been doing this for a couple of years. So where does that passion come from, and how do you keep that going?
Well, that's a good question. I think the team at Leadership Evansville plays a big role in that. We've got, 3 folks counting you
yes.
working right now, and really models of servant leadership. So a lot of that passion comes from there and from the board. We've got a great, very
Huge
active
passion.
board. We get things done. We don't track the volunteer hours that we have, but it would be, I'm not kidding, probably $1 million+ a year in volunteer hours, people helping us do things in the community. But, I think it's not really easy to articulate what servant leadership is for me. I can just tell you that when I meet with my team, and I manage a big team throughout almost the entire state of Indiana, Western Kentucky, and Southern Illinois, but I realize every day when I wake up and they wake up that they decide whether or not they're going to let me lead them. And I'm acutely aware that they have a choice. Mm-hmm. And without them, I would not have a job. And I think that's core to servant leadership. Lynn?
Yep, and I think, too, that part of where Leadership Evansville plays in to that and building that understanding is that most of us, if we think about somebody that we love the way they led, it's usually because we admired the way they did it. And if we look at it and we started saying, well, what was typical of that? I hear over and over again that the person that was leading them knew themselves and that they were real. Either people will tell me they're authentic, they're real, they led out a personal mission, but it's all about that person understanding who they are and who they're not. So what we do in Leadership Evansville is we help people identify and really be able to name and articulate what they're good at. Mm-hmm. So if they understand if they understand what they're good at with their talents and their strengths, and then they put that with their passion, all they have left to do is make a commitment. And what I've found personally is if I'm really good at what I'm doing and I'm passionate about it, I have no problem making a commitment. In fact, if I have a problem, it's usually going to be not doing it too much. Like with my kind of personality, what is good, I just want to keep going. So I think that's how it works, in that people feel so touched about being through an experience that they get to identify who and be okay with who they are. So if somebody's really a quiet, reflective, analytical, thinking kind of leader, we tell them that that is absolutely awesome and a gift. And they should lead exactly like that. And I think sometimes people have been told before that they have to be a certain way, or whoever's leading them, everybody should be like me. I mean, that's just an unfortunate situation.
Right.
So to have a process that sets people up and helps them understand not only who they are, but who the other people are, when it's time to come together and work as servant leaders and in a team, it's really a lot easier because I know what Court's good at and he knows what I'm good at. And there's some things that are similar, but there's also some things that are really different. And when it's in that area that Court knows and I don't know, I trust him, I'm comfortable, I can call him and say, I have no idea how to handle this. Or would you please look at this? I'm not very good at it. And that he's on my board, he was the president of my board. And for the CEO to be able to go to one of their board members and say, I have no idea what I'm doing on this, means that the trust is so good that we're able to truly help one another. And I feel comfortable asking him for help. And periodically he calls me and says, hey, look at this. What do we need to do?
I'll call her more than she calls me.
It's not true. It's not true.
Yeah, you guys can fight about that later.
Okay, later. Yeah, we will.
So, yeah. So for Celebration of Leadership, these are people that have been nominated by someone in the community. And it can be a person or it can be a business or a government entity or a project.
Yes.
Okay. So they're divvied up into categories. And
yes.
Like the Academy Awards, it's an honor to be nominated, right? But sometimes you want to win.
Yes, sometimes.
Not that I'm not bitter, but whatever.
Well, you've been nominated 2 years in a row.
I have, and that's weird.
So, dude.
I know, it's a weird
what
thing.
I want to know,
I'm not lying.
When you walked into Celebration of Leadership the first time, what did you think? I mean...
So I went the year before I was nominated. Wasn't nominated that year, but I knew some people that were. I had just learned about, I want to say Leadership Evansville, not that, it's around the time Parks Fest started.
Yes.
So that's where I became aware of it between, I think Zach Parsons was the one that told Alex Maurer, and I was in that meeting too, where I was like, I don't know what this is either. But so we did that. And yeah, I was just stunned by the sheer volume of people there and the different things going on. It's like, holy moly, there's a lot going on in Evansville, apparently, that I didn't. I thought I knew a thing or two, but I didn't. So yeah, it's almost overwhelming to see all of the projects going on. Yeah. And then each year has been bigger, I think, that I've gone to. So
I think that's a lot of times what we hear from people. They're amazed. And here's I think a lesson in inclusion and diversity. You can't just have it in one area and have people buy it. So you got a few people in your class, but you don't have anybody in your board. You don't have anybody. You see what I mean? So the whole thing about that is in every aspect of Leadership Evansville and Celebration of Leadership, whether it's the nominees, the nominators, the presenters, the selectors, our board of directors, our underwriters, there is diversity in every single area. So it's not unusual for there to be kids presenting to adults. It's not unusual you're going to see all different kinds of people, but it's not like there's one. It's throughout. It's everywhere.
Right.
And that doesn't happen on accident.
No,
we are
it's
very intentional about it. And I think that's a lesson for all of us in business and those that aren't in business, that you have to be intentional about it. And it will work.
Right.
If you are.
Yeah. Yeah, planning, I can't imagine what goes into this kind of event and just the logistics that gives me a headache. But.
So that's the thing. If the largest lesson in leadership is the willingness and the humility to ask for help, really for those of us who at certain points wouldn't, we found ourselves very limited. But once Leadership Evansville grew into itself and realized that truly is a key to leadership, we have people all over the community doing things for Celebration of Leadership, and it is kind of leggy. There's a lot of things to follow, but it is so much more manageable now. The bigger it's gotten, the more manageable it's become because we have more and more people. Court's a co-chair this year. We just have people helping us. Fifth Third helps us a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's huge
I mean, with people.
Kind of, people. Yeah.
Yes.
So as far as actual nominees or anything, is there anything thing you want to highlight there, or?
I'm going to talk about one that is just for pure fun.
Okay.
All right. So for some of us that grew up in Evansville years ago, there was this big Santa that people knew, that people knew about. And you just saw it and you just kind of knew about it. But if you were, I think particularly on the west side, it was a meeting place. So for years, wherever that Santa ended up, you would say, let's meet at the Santa and then we'll go out, or let's meet at the Santa, blah, blah, blah. Well, through the years, he became old and had a problem, and then he got taken down. And Ron McKeithen found him or saw him laying in a field, broken and awful. And Ron said that it was one of those, sometimes this is how leadership happens. It won't leave you alone. So Ron was saying, somebody ought to do something about that. And, we've all had those moments, well, by God, somebody ought to do something about that. And he was sitting there and he goes, oh, darn. I don't know if that was the word he used. He said, then maybe it needs to be me. Mm-hmm. So what he did is he started talking to people, and he's a paint contractor, and he knows a lot of people. He's got a lot of energy. Ron's a fun guy. He started talking about it, and then the artists came forward. Then, everybody, people, he would be walking around after it went up on Facebook and different things, and a little lady one time just handed him 50 cents to help stand Santa back up. So this went on to turn into a huge project where many, many people volunteered time, hours, dollars. And I think they had 7,000 people watching from the internet kind of thing. I don't know how to describe that.
Like a live feed.
A live feed, that's it.
Yeah.
And when they were moving Santa and standing him back up, people, it was done in a building that was for sale. The building sold, and the new owners let them finish. It was stuff like that over and over and over again. So, so they ended up getting this to stand back up, and I think Mr. Peckinpah out on 41 donated some land. Kathy Boyd Electric lit them up. And they have that Santa standing back up. So that was nominated. And sometimes people say, well, is that like the food pantry? And I'm like, oh, yeah, it is. Because something iconic, something that helps people come together, something that brings back memories, something that people, just hundreds of people gathered around this as a childhood memory. It's awesome. So that one was kind of different. It was a little bit of a different twist, and many people involved.
I think one of the most touching stories that came out of the nominations is a doctor that was serving in Afghanistan and helped bring some kids back to be worked on at Riley Hospital.
Yeah, Michael.
I don't remember exactly what kind of help that they needed, and eventually, actually, Lynn, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he actually did build a hospital. I
think they did, there. And and he has now he was at Butler, and he has been recruited to run the physician assistance program at U of E.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason it was nominated, I have to brag on my little one, but my 15-year-old was doing a choir performance on Veterans Day out at Gable Soccer Field. And David Nicholson put this thing on, and it was really it was beautifully done. Mike was the speaker, and he told this story. And there's Lily standing there in the choir, and she got done, and she said, Mom, you train them up right when they say, Mom, that's a celebration of leadership nomination, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, does it matter that it was done in Afghanistan? And I'm like, no, we're looking at, our world is becoming smaller and smaller.
Right.
So we're thrilled. The backstory is that once he got nominated, he's really busy, and he really doesn't look for awards and things like that. That's not really his style, from what I understand. Mm-hmm. And his cousin told me that because Lily was a sophomore in high school and was the one that nominated him, it got his attention, and he's going to come to the show.
Oh, that's great.
To the program.
Great.
But I think if it hadn't been a student, if it hadn't been a young person, and that's where all of his energy is training these kids, it wouldn't have meant the same thing. So the nominator, too, is very important.
No, I agree.
Man.
Yeah. I know these stories only because I work at Leadership Evansville. I don't know if I would know them otherwise. Also, we have a lady named Rose Benton, and she is 88 years old. I'm wondering if she's going to be okay with us putting that there. And this nominee is amazing. She still works every day of the week. She's a retired GE employee, and she goes to, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but she basically helps serve food on Monday nights, every Monday night. And what the people have told me is that they need the food. They and their families need the food, for sure. Mm-hmm. But what they also need is Rose, because she's there with a hug. She helps in so many different ways. If she finds out somebody doesn't have enough clothes, whatever it is she can do, she does. And she is doing this at 88. So I guess I wanted to explain that sometimes our folks are later in life, and some of them are like the 8-year-old that gave her birthday money and wanted her birthday money to go and help take care of the animals.
Right, yeah.
I mean, she's just like, hello. That is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, so there's no age qualification for leading, apparently.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. Can we talk? I want to talk about ASAP.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
Because are we allowed to say badass?
We'll allow it.
Okay, then I'm going to say that it's badass. Do you want to talk about it first? Do you want me to?
Well, why don't you get it started and then
Okay.
I can talk about it.
Now, I'm getting this from my understanding and from talking to a few people. I'm not directly involved. But it sounds like there's a certain group of people who have the opportunity to go back or get some education, higher education. Many companies have something called we'll reimburse you once you get to a certain point or finish that semester or that year or that degree. The difficulty is that sometimes the people who would qualify for this, they don't have the money up front to start the tuition. So Ivy Tech has worked very closely to make sure that anybody that wants to do this can have the opportunity. And they asked Fifth Third to see if they could help. And can you describe a bit about what Fifth Third does with, I think it's the advancing, but I'm afraid I'm going to say it wrong.
No, that's okay, Lynn. Thanks. We see a real need when we go out and visit with our commercial clients. What they tell us, almost all of them, is that they could grow faster if they could find qualified people. They've got business that they have to turn down because they can't find people that can, whatever tradesmen or whatever they are that they need them to do. So we did see a gap there in a place where we can impact the community in a positive way and help our commercial clients too. So we partnered with Ivy Tech and some of our local historically African-American churches to look for diverse candidates that wanted to further their education. Some of them are traditional students. Many of them are not. And we do get a fair amount of leadership out of the African-American churches to help mentor these young adults. And then we take them through, Ivy Tech actually takes them through the process to apply for government grants. As luck would have it, many of them are eligible for some, but as Lynn pointed out earlier, even if they do have a job where they have a tuition reimbursement program, they don't have the $1,000 or whatever it might be to cover the gap. Fifth Third Bank is covering that gap. We have, I think, around 30 students that we have covered the gap between what they're eligible for in terms of government grants and what the cost is at Ivy Tech. And it's been a very successful program. We're looking at expanding it across the entire state. And working with Ivy Tech, it's just been wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's just incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Then, like, if we look at something like a water and sewer utility, we have a nomination there. And I think a lot of us, if we think about water and sewer, first of all, we probably don't think about water and sewer. But if we were to, we might have heard that there could be some rate hikes and that there's work that has to be done throughout the community, that sometimes we think that this is all negative. The reality is the work that has to be done. So those dollars have to be invested in the infrastructure. What the water and sewer department is doing on a number of different levels is they are finding ways to, if they have to replace the sewer, when they pull that land or street up, they're looking for ways when they put it back down to work with community and other organizations to make sure that they're putting it down better than when they found it. Places like Bee Slough that had been a horrible situation, they are not only correcting that, but we're working with Leadership Evansville and other groups and the community to find out how do we make this something that's not only not a problem, but better. And they're looking at those repairs, potentially making it very pretty, possibly in certain areas turning it back into a wetland, which would be gorgeous, and with trails. So we are having to spend the money, yes, but they are being incredibly creative and very collaborative in the way that they're working with the community. So they were nominated. They also have done work like green infrastructure and a learning garden where if it helps capture rainwater runoff, I mean, this is getting way beyond my ability to describe it properly.
Yeah.
But basically, if you're willing to do that and have that kind of a system underneath the ground you're working on, the top part of the ground might be able to be turned into a garden, a parking lot, something attractive. And one of the great voice projects that are coming out of that is turning that into a learning garden where the garden will be made of many of the things you would just find in an alley. So it can show people who live in the area how they can make something amazing out of stuff that's just laying around. The lady that's doing the learning garden, Jean Rising, was also nominated. So you see how this all kind of works. There's a few projects that like Promise Zone, if that were to receive, and I'm not saying it is, but I was saying if it were, there would be so many people involved in making that happen. I mean, we could have like a flood of people up there. And we like that.
Yeah. It's like when the Soldier Dogs won that one year.
Or the school with Rob Carroll last year when those 80 kids marched across there. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I had tears.
Yeah, that was impressive.
And we do give awards to dogs. So Evie is up for an award.
Nice.
Yes. And so I think there's a chance that we will see some canine leaders. We may even find a canine leader to present an award this year.
Cool.
Yeah, we're working on that. You have to come to see.
Yeah.
You have to come to see that.
It's a teaser right there.
It's a teaser for sure. Weren't you nominated again?
Yes. Yeah. But, whatever. It's old
What do you mean,
now.
whatever?
I don't know.
Who nominated you?
It looks like Steve Berger did.
Steve Berger nominated you. You know what we need to do right now?
What's that?
Thank you, Steve. That is a killer nomination.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Check's in the mail.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say if you like this podcast, you should probably come on out to Celebration of Leadership. We may have even more things to celebrate.
Yeah. And it wasn't just me. It was our network. So
is everybody coming?
I'm not sure yet, but I'll try to get everybody there.
Hey, network?
Yeah.
You need to get there.
Yeah, network. There's no excuses.
Yeah. I will find out where you live, and I will teepee you.
And she doesn't live far from most of the people on the network.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're talking about I'm going to have to invest.
So that's a real
in
threat.
the big Sam's Club kind of toilet paper.
Oh man!
Yay!
Sam's Club's not a sponsor of the show, so I'm going to cut that.
Then you better just get there. You better just get there.
But yes, we were nominated, and Steve was gracious enough to nominate us. So we were very thankful for that.
And he's a good writer.
Yeah, I was reading. I was like, wow, that sounds way more important than what we are.
You know what we should tell the people listening?
What's that?
Okay, here's an idea. While you're listening to this, think of a servant leader. Think of an individual or two that you know have just been incredible doing whether it's big things or small things, but a lot of things for other people, and write their names down. Then think of a project that just you were sitting back someday and going, that in fact is badass. That's my favorite word, by the way. Is it one or two? And then write that down. And if you've noticed an organization or a business that's just doing outstanding, they go above and beyond, write that down. And then what you have is your 4 nominations. And you know what? Nominations for this year are obviously closed, but for next year, they're already open. So you could write them up, and we've already got a couple in, and then you could nominate people.
Yeah.
Go to leadershipevansville.org.
That's it.
And the cost to do that is?
Not a thing.
Oh, wow.
Just a little bit of time and answering 5
However,
questions.
if you did want to give, you do have the opportunity at leadershipevansville.org.
Oh, there's a pro.
To support us.
Yeah. Court's very good about suggesting that people help us. And
Yeah.
we love Court. Yay!
He should be in the money business. Oh, wait. So that's a great idea. It's already open. So
It's
for next
already
year,
open.
perfect.
You can do it.
Yeah,
You can do it.
yeah. There's a
Wouldn't
lot.
it be
I mean, these
fun
are
if somebody was sitting at Celebration of Leadership watching all this stuff and they had their little phone and
There
they
you go.
just turned in a nomination right while they were sitting there and while it was
yeah.
in their mind. That would be cool.
I'm pretty sure it happens.
If anyone does that's listening, shoot me an email and let me know, and I'll
we'll
pass
brag
the
about
info along.
We'll brag about it.
Yeah, because that's
Be
you
cool.
get inspired and you want to do something about it.
Now
Right?
is the time to do it.
And even to be fair, if you don't know, if you can't think of a servant leader and you don't know of a project, then you definitely need to come to this.
Yeah.
And meet some people, especially the networking in the beginning, because it's contagious when you're around
You
the
will
people.
be inspired.
Yeah.
You will be inspired. And then afterwards, we're going to suggest that everybody go out and get with a group of people and go out to dinner in one of the new or downtown restaurants, or Haney's Corner, or Franklin Street, or Jacobsville, or North Main, places where Leadership Evansville has helped activate people, because we want to make sure that people are real. I mean, if you don't know what's going on down here, you just really need to come down here. There's a lot going on in their Court.
There is. The Doubletree's open now.
Yep.
Yeah.
The skywalks are done. The sidewalks are beautiful. The roads are beautiful over there. There's a lot happening. They're working on the med school.
Med school's coming
It's going up. I was at the ball game Saturday and looked out the window and could not believe how much of that
Yeah.
iron that they've got up already. So it's an exciting time to be in Evansville.
And we're working with the library system and a couple of Leadership Evansville classes to create a hive, which is going to be a room in the library where the old cafe was. It's going to take us a little bit to get it up. But we plan to put all kinds of plans and different things that have happened within the city or are going to happen, so people can be informed and see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an area where people can talk about collaborating. And then also if there's things that they could get engaged in, or maybe ideas they have that we want to make into something.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these things, so be watching for that. And as that gets forward, I'll come back on
definitely.
and describe it. But the library system is amazing, and they're helping us with that.
Yeah. And the downtown library is just awesome.
We have a cool library
It's
system everywhere.
Crazy. Yeah. It
Oh my
is
gosh.
like, it's legitimately, it's weird to say, but like a library, but it's like legitimately very, it's the standards are so high, and isn't it like ranked nationally?
Oh, it's huge. They get awards all the time.
Yeah. So it's,
And they are one of our major projects when we did the voice visioning, because so many people feel comfortable going to the library that we could have our meetings there.
Sure, yeah.
And everybody felt welcome, and plus they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Who knew I'd be hanging with a bunch of librarians?
I mean, they are pretty
oh
cool.
My gosh, they used to kick me out for being loud.
That's surprising.
Yeah, I had problem in school too.
Oh, okay.
Court, did you?
No.
Oh,
He's very boring. We know this.
I don't believe him.
I don't either.
How about college?
I worked all the way through college. So
No. When did you get in trouble?
I don't.
Oh my God.
It means it's coming
I'm
soon.
not sure we can stay best friends.
It just means there's a lot of trouble that can get into now. He's saved
It's
up.
going to be your second half
I
of life.
generally don't do it on TV, on radio, or on a podcast. So
Oh, that's right. I shouldn't admit to my trouble.
Yeah, it's a
I
permanent
should not
record.
tell anyone I can't remember the 80s.
There's there's shows about that now. You can
Okay.
you can relive it. It's
okay.
fine.
It's far enough away.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost cool again.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I feel better. Should we remind people where to go and what to
Absolutely.
do?
You should absolutely do
Okay,
that.
so March 9th.
Which is next Thursday.
Yes.
Old National Events Plaza.
Yes. Come. The doors will be open at 4. We'll have a very light reception, so grab a sandwich before you go. And
Enjoy the fellowship.
Oh, my
Get to
gosh.
know
Just
people.
meet people, talk to people.
Bring a handful of business cards with you if you
Oh,
have them.
yes. And then we're going to have a fabulous, fabulous celebration from 5:30 to 7. I don't think we've gone over an hour and a half in years. And when we break free from that, grab several people that you just met and some friends, go somewhere, have dinner, really talk about what can we do next? How do we make our community even better? How do we be part of the solution, not part of the problem?
Tell everybody you just left the Celebration of Leadership.
And then nominate like all hell.
Nominate like crazy
Nominate.
at leadershipevansville.org.
That's it. And then sign up for a Leadership Evansville class because that's cool. And if you have trouble with the tuition, let us know. We'll see what we
Our
can do.
next class is in June.
It's in April.
Our next one is in April.
April 4th through 6th. It's a new time for it. And then we're having August. And in June, we're having a youth leadership.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, I think your class is the April one.
Oh, I don't. Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Let's go
not
ahead
aware
and
of
have
that.
him
I was
admit.
not aware of that.
Now, you're going to go April 4th through 6th? Is that
I
it?
don't know.
I
if
don't
that's
know.
possible. I'll have to,
It would probably be better if I didn't stand up in front of 1,400 people and shame you.
yeah, well, that
Others
would be
could be
better.
thousands. Ah.
Yeah,
if
we
you
don't
are-
know. We don't know.
If you're wavering on whether or not to come. You're not going to regret it. You're going to meet some great people.
Right.
You'll see the best things about Evansville. So excited for the event. And a lot of us are going to play a big role in it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always excited about
Yeah.
that too.
Fun.
Very nice. So yeah, if for whatever reason listening to this after the celebration event, there's still a lot we can get out of this, hopefully. But the takeaways are nominate for next year. This happens every March, right? Within the first couple weeks of March is the
Yeah.
plan. So every year, be there and then yeah.
It's the best party in town, and it's affordable. So it's $15.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, come anyway. Just let us know if you can. And if you forget to let us know, I'd come anyway. I mean, we've never turned anyone away ever.
Right.
And we will. You might have to stand in the back with Court, but that's okay.
We got a big room, lots of chairs. We'll have
Lots
enough
of big. The
chairs.
double ballroom upstairs,
Is-
top
yeah.
of the escalator. It's a big
It's a big
room.
room. Yeah, but very
And
full.
it's fun. It's fun. Be prepared to laugh, cry, and cheer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds like a night.
I like it.
Well, thank you so much for having us on to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about
We
it.
love
Anytime.
coming.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for being willing to come over here and get this out.
We could do another podcast right after you got done with the retreat and talk about what it meant to you. There we go.
I think that's a good idea.
I think that's awesome.
We should do that.
Okay. Are you going to say no to Court? He's big.
I'm
just
I'll
saying.
I'll abstain from any decisions at this point.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thanks so much.
Thanks again to Court and Lynn for coming over and hanging out, talking with me about Leadership Evansville and the Celebration of Leadership event that is happening March 9th. Look forward to seeing you all out there. Get your tickets, get your RSVP in at leadershipevansville.org. And as always, good job, everybody.